Here's the 820S again, that on 15 meters doesn't have any output on the receive. There's 10 meters, 20 meters, 40 meters, 80, 160, WWV. And what I've done is I've taken the PLL assembly out here. 2 screws on here. There's 2 down on the metal thing that goes onto this, the frame. This will flop over. And I've taken both covers off like this. There's a bunch of different screws of different sizes, so you want to put them in bags. These are the crystals that are used for each different band on the selector switch here. It's a bunch of different positions. The auxiliary over here is unpopulated. That's number, I think it's number 10 or 11. And the little cheat sheet I've got over here. Crystal number 1 is for WWV on mine, 15 megahertz. Crystal number 2 is 1.8 meters. The 1.8 megahertz, 3.5 megahertz, 80 meters. It's X3, X4. Got X5. There's 21 megahertz. These 2 are for 10 meters. These 2 are 10 meters, and somebody's gone through on these 2 and swapped them out with crystals are a megahertz lower, so it's running on the CB band, unfortunately. But since they've done that over here, I've taken this out just to make sure they didn't go ahead and screw up this crystal. Now, right now, since there's no output on the display over here, it can be either 2 things. One, on this assembly here, might be there's no output because the band switch is screwed up, so it's actually coming out of this. Here's the different frequencies coming out. Or it might be that this crystal is somehow a transistor's blown. So my plan is to float a little tiny, I've got a little dinky oscilloscope, it looks like the size of a credit card, float it on here, probe it around, make sure that it's actually oscillating. Or 2 might be the selector switch, which is buried way down under here. Where is it? Let me turn the switch here. All you see from up top is the chain moving. And the switch is down here inside this box. So when I turn the switch over here, could be the selector switch here screwed up. I bought this used off eBay a few years ago, and 15 meters has never really worked on this, and so it's interesting that the display goes dead on here. I haven't really tried to transmit on that. That's another thing, but I believe it gets really quiet, so I think nothing's really going on there. This particular one, when you put it on 29 megahertz here, it's actually on 27, 29 and a half. It's on 27 and a half, and auxiliary has got nothing. And so it's blank just like it is here. So it's almost like the crystal isn't in place. So if it'd be really lucky if it's just the crystal somehow is goofed. I've tried to wiggle this around to see if it pops on, and nothing seems to happen here. Anyways, that's the 820 apart. Here's a big schematic I've got printed out. I'll go over here to the computer real quick. This is the service manual you can download. It shows all the different. This is the block diagram. So when you have it set, the bandswitch set on 0, 28 megahertz is a 33.5 megahertz crystal. Here's a 21 megahertz, it's 26.5, and that's what's in there, but there's no output. 14 megahertz is 19.5, 7 megahertz is 12.5. So there's a shift of 5 megahertz here. And this is the WWV, so you've got 20.5 minus 5.5 is 15 megahertz on here for the VCO. So in summary, what I either have is the crystal over here on 21 megahertz, either this guy is dead, Q1's not driving it, or it is driving it, and somewhere over at the selector switch it's hosed. I would prefer it's probably just the crystal instead of a bad switch. There's the board. There's a couple of people selling these on eBay, and so by seeing that on eBay I decided to try to figure out where it actually was in the units. I looked at the service manual, didn't really tell you how to take it apart. But there's 2 screws here that go into these sockets, and then these other 2 you almost need a magnetic screwdriver because it drops down into those 2 holes. This whole thing flops over, and I never disconnected that sucker, so it's still on there like that, and I guess it's made to be like that. On the other side it's got a whole bunch of adjustment holes on here for each different frequencies, different slugs. Frequency, and there's a frequency readout, so I'm going to have to read up what that is. Maybe that's to tweak it in. It's probably on the other side of each one of these to tweak in the crystal. There's the transmit receive relay I replaced last time. Right there. I think there's another relay, I might, don't hold me to it, but I think there's another one in there that I haven't replaced yet. But this is the one I did a video that mine had flaky receive with that relay right there. That's it, the 820S I've been screwing around with. Bought this a few years ago, and it receives real well, but I haven't really looked at this in a good while, so I was revisiting because it's just sitting over in the corner getting dusty. Got a schematic printed out. There's the band switch off this phase lock loop assembly. So we're going to investigate what's going on.